Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about the mask brush. So let's go ahead and fire up Blender, do new file general, and let's go ahead and do file save as. We'll just call this mask. And let's go ahead and set up Suzanne for sculpting. And we're going to do matte caps. And let's add some multi-resolution. So just crank it up however much you can handle. I'm going to do 5 today as usual. And we'll do Control Tab and flop into sculpt mode. And now let's go down all the way to the bottom and grab the mask tool. And so you may or may not see this. It should be there in later versions of Blender, but if not, just sit back and enjoy. But you should have it. And so once you have the mask brush enabled, it's just like any other brush. It's got the radius, it's got the strength. It does have your plus and minus. And under our tools, it has some other cool stuff like draw and smooth and hardness. So we're going to use those today. And you also got your direction, adding, subtracting. So let's get to masking some stuff. So this is really helpful brush if you're trying to mask off or not affect a certain part of your mesh. So before we start, let's turn on our symmetry on the X. And maybe we want to mask out, just a little mustache here for Suzanne, something simple. So now we can invert this mask. You can go to mask, invert mask, or just hit Control I. So Control I. And now any of these brushes we use up here will only be applied inside of this little mask area. So it's super fun. I'm going to do just the draw. And notice we can just draw in here all over the place, just like a kid with some crayons. But the draw tool is only going to take place inside of where we masked it off. So again, we can do Control I, come back. We could go to our mask tool down here and we could hold Control and delete the mask. So notice it's kind of disappearing right here. And so say we wanted to make some kind of design on Suzanne's head here, just like some weird spots and things. You could go here, but notice the strength is kind of soft. So it's not fully, blocking it out. So if you increase the strength, now when you paint over it, note it gets a lot darker, whenever you're doing things with the strength turned up. It's actually making the mask very, very dark and heavy, so it's going to be like no other brush is going to affect it. So just make some type of pattern on the head here, nothing crazy, but just to kind of give you the idea. And notice if we just go straight into any other brush, like the blob here, when we start making blobs, it's only going to make blobs anywhere that the mask tool isn't. And so that's really what you're using it for, is just to isolate certain parts of your mesh to really get more creative with them, So just kind of blob this out here, just kind of over exaggerating it here, just to show the process of how you could use it. And then you could invert it with Control I, take some other brush. I'm just going to hold Control and just do the opposite. And notice it's only happening where it can. So I'm just holding Control. And relatively quickly, it's giving you a lot of control over my shape here, but I don't have to, I can be very just willy-nilly with my brush, So I'm just going to smooth these out here. And there you go. So now if we clear the mask, you can go up to mask and say clear mask, or just do Alt-M. And that will turn off all the masks on your design. And go ahead and save. So let's go back to our mask brush. And notice on our tools here, we have hardness. So if we increase the hardness, the edges of the line are going to be a lot sharper. So say if I did it with the hardness down, notice the line is very soft around the edges. Or if we crank it up all the way to 1, when we make a line, it's very sharp edges, very rough around the edges. But another cool thing is that you can always hold Control, and that will take part of the mask away. And you can also hold Shift, and it doesn't actually smooth the model, but it smooths your mask. So, maybe there's part of your design that you want to be smooth, but then you want the bottom half to be sharp. So you've got all those options as well. And notice the strength's pretty high, so it's smoothing them very, very hard. But if we turn it down, you can do nice, just super soft kind of smoothations on your masks there. And now if you use a different brush here, we'll just grab one of these. Notice it's only happening where the mask isn't. We'll smooth that out. Do Alt-M and clear the mask. There you go. So we can smooth it out. And we've got some super funky shapes. Another cool thing you can do is hold Control and Shift at the same time. And you can do kind of like a lasso mask. So if there's a big part of one part of the object that you're trying to adjust, and then you can hold Shift and Control, add some more, maybe do it again. And this is the lasso select, but you can do that as well. Notice it does come in very, very hard around the edges. You could just take your mask brush and just hold Shift, and soften those edges a little bit. So yeah, so that's all the different things you can do with the mask brush. Very, very, very powerful mask. So definitely get in the habit of using that and using the little shortcuts up here. Invert mask, Control I, and clear mask, Alt-M. So those are going to come in very handy for you. But yeah, have fun with the mask, and we're going to use this a lot more in the future, so get ready. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the next lesson, which is the multi-res displacement eraser.